Hi everyone, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune here. I hope you're doing well. Today's astrology report is all about the planet of Neptune, in fact, because Neptune will be stationing direct tomorrow, the 6th of December. I've got the chart, of course. I'm going to pull that up and show you the transits, certainly the ones that I've been drawn and guided towards. And I've also got some divination tools here, tarot and oracle decks, to take some additional messages at the end. It will be time-stamped, so if you're just here for the tarot and oracle, then of course you can just jump to that section. But this is about the mystical, mysterious planet of Neptune. And I'm very passionate about Neptune because I'm a Pisces and Neptune rules Pisces. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way first. So there is this ethereal, spiritual, mystical, magical essence to the planet of Neptune. And as with all planets, of course, there's the light and the shadow sides. So the shadow sides of Neptune, if you're not aware, relate to confusion, illusion, and deception. Now, Neptune is kind of on the outer periphery of the solar system. So this is where, when we think of those kind of psychic qualities of the spiritual Piscean energy, there is this sort of inner warning or guidance via our intuition, okay, which is connected to that source energy and part of that ethereal essence. And that's exactly sort of, replicating what Neptune is doing in the solar system, alerting the other planets and planetary bodies to, certain activity. So we are embodying that, as souls here on Earth. So this is all about our intuition, connecting in with our intuition. With Neptune stationing direct, of course, then we'll be moving forward. So there will be momentum within Neptune. But during the period of retrograde, it was an opportunity, like with all retrogrades, to go within, to introspect, and possibly even realize where confusion may have been existing, where there may have been illusionary aspects from the past or present, whatever it might have been, and also where we may have been deceived by others, by situations, or even by ourselves. Okay, so self-sabotage can come up as well as part of this. And for those of you that would have seen my astrology report on the full moon that we had recently, the full moon in Gemini at the end of November, you'll remember that I mentioned about big shadow energy all over that full moon. And full moons are great for releasing, of course, but also illuminating. So we may have actually, during the period of the Neptune retrograde, during the period of all this healing transformation we've been going through, been becoming aware of certain aspects of where there may have been deception, where there may have been confusion, unnecessary confusion, where there may have been more of that kind of fantasy sort of element of Neptune, living in fantasy land. I'm a bit like that as a because I am a dreamer. That is a great quality to have, actually, but sometimes we do need that realistic approach. I'm quite fortunate to have, I'm Pisces, and I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart, and that's the opposite sign, of course. So I'm sort of, 1 foot in the 5D, 1 foot in the 3D, that sort of thing. But it helps to have that balance, really, in terms of bringing us back down to earth. And it could have been that during the retrograde period, we may have become aware of those aspects or those places or those situations where we may have needed to be brought back down to earth, a bit of a reality check in that way. Okay, that might apply for some. Of course, it depends on the other transits that are going on at the time, with astrology, and also how this is playing out in your chart, because I'm a firm believer that the natal chart is our soul's blueprint. So this is about unlocking the key to your soul's blueprint through the work that I do, certainly, with giving readings, etc., because it gives you your individual picture of the situation. So Neptune, might be playing out in a particular house for you. There could be other aspects going on to other planets, and that's going to give you more of an indication of your situation. For today, I've got the UK's chart as always, so that's going to just provide some context to the house system to give you an idea of what that looks like when I put two charts together. Okay, for those of you that haven't seen one of these reports before. And as I say, I will pull some cards as well. Now, when I was getting everything ready, and I was looking at the astrological data, okay, the transits that I was drawn to and guided to, I received some words from Spirit, okay? Very clear it was, the rise of the feminine. Then it was rising through the shadows. And I've just been mentioning about shadows because of the full moon that we've recently had. So it could be linked to, you know, certain things that were illuminated during that full moon and previously, but the full moon could have activated it a bit more, okay, that illumination. Take that if it resonates, okay? You'll certainly know if it's resonating for you, because there's been a lot coming up, and, you know, light and shade, that is part of reality. There has to be that polarity, okay? And we need to have that balance. So we need to understand where there might have been sort of certain wounds, anxieties and fears coming up, where the illumination of deception may have been coming up. It's all to facilitate change and to move us forward. And the feminine essence, so the reason why I feel Spirit gave those words to me is basically because we've got the feminine and masculine essence within us, okay, regardless of gender or how we identify. We've got the feminine essence of nurturing, that unconditional love, okay, and the creator, birthing something new, the ability to manifest in that way. So highly connected to the intuition. And the masculine essence of the courage and the drive to take action. So we need the two, okay, they work hand in hand. Of course, that plays out when you look at divine feminine and divine masculine in the 3D reality and how that might be playing out in those situations, okay? And we'll come on to that when I pull up the chart and I explain a bit more about that, because it was quite interesting what I saw. And certainly the words I was given definitely corresponded to what I saw on the chart. And that was my synchronicity from Spirit to give that message to you. This is about the rise of that feminine essence coming through, the ability and the acknowledgement to manifest via the intuition that we feel inside, okay, that connection to source energy, that side of the Neptunian energy, the ethereal side to be in connection to our 5D self, to our higher self, to that higher level of consciousness to help us navigate forward, okay? And that in turn helps the masculine energy because it empowers the masculine energy to then take the action, okay? And in turn, that masculine drive empowers the feminine essence to seek more of that intuition and that guidance, okay? I hope that is making sense. Okay, take it as you will. We are in Sagittarius season, of course. Now, Sagittarius rules the 9th house in astrology. That's all about a journey, exploration, discovery. Okay, what are we learning about what's been going on? And boy, oh boy, this transformation journey, this healing journey has been a learning experience. We're learning more about ourselves. Saturn wants us to get in line with our spiritual truth. He is, of course, in Pisces, as is Neptune. So this is about our spiritual truth. And we've had to learn where we might not have been in line with our spiritual truth. And that's what's prompted change, or certainly the acceptance and the acknowledgement that change is needed in certain areas and situations. Okay. And that is the reality check that we've been having, that I alluded to before. Okay, so there may have been a cloud of confusion because we haven't really known what to do. And that period of Neptune retrograde, the introspection, might have shown us or been trying to give us clues and hints to where those things have been happening for us, okay, whatever they might be, in order for when Neptune goes direct and movement starts to go forward, we can connect in with that spiritual essence, okay, connect in more. And Neptune being at home in Pisces, of course, is extremely beneficial. It's a benefic position. So this is about embracing that Neptunian energy, but not swaying into the sort of shadow side, being aware of it, acknowledging what's been coming up in order to process and deal with it. We need to connect to our higher self. We need to connect to that source energy within us. Okay, that's that divine flow of source energy. And our intuition may have been telling us things for a while that we've been ignoring, okay? Maybe not believing. So this is another thing with the Neptunian cloud of confusion. It can lead you to actually not believe your intuition, to not trust your intuition, because, you know, perhaps you feel something, but then the 3D reality that's playing out kind of takes over, or you might talk to somebody, or you're having some kind of interaction, or you're involved in a situation, okay, and it sort of clouds the judgment, because it's in your face, it's the 3D reality. And that can often take precedence, or has taken precedence, over the ethereal essence within our intuition that's been guiding us. And our intuition will never lie to us. Okay, the 3D reality might. We might have an odd test here and there with certain things. So this is about getting in tune with the intuition. Okay, our intuition within is extremely powerful. But is it being utilized? Are we listening to our intuition because of all of that? You know, has that confusion overtaken us and we've just been like, no, that can't be right, because this is what I'm seeing in my reality. So, you know, what I'm being told within, how can that be true? So it's a test of faith in terms of our intuition and source energy. And anyone that meditates or, you know, receives visuals, etc., coming through, they could be heightened at this time as well. Okay, and certainly during the retrograde, they may have been heightened, but even more so, it feels to me that when Neptune actually starts moving forward, it's going to kind of clunk into gear to move forward. And therefore, our intuition is going to clunk into gear and move forward. If we're connected to our intuition solidly, okay, we've got faith in our intuition, then, you know, we can move forward in that way as well, because our intuition will lead us, our higher self will lead us in the direction that we need to go. Okay, so I know I went off on a bit of a tangent there, which is a Piscean trait, but you know, it is all for our highest good. It is a journey, it is a kind of period of discovery whilst we're in Sagittarius season. So all of this might still be coming up, and yes, it can feel uncomfortable, it can feel challenging, because we're being faced with certain stuff coming up, but it's all for our highest good. And what I did want to show you before I pull up the chart is I've got this Moonology deck, and there was a card that, you know, I saw the image, my third eye of this card, so I will find it for you, because it's definitely applicable to Sagittarius season and with what's been going on. It may be the final card, you never know. But this is about the expansive energy of Jupiter, okay? Because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and also was the original ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. So in that sense as well, Jupiter also has that spiritual essence to it, okay? So there is great expansive opportunities within Sagittarius season. And then we look at what's going on in Pisces as well, and we can understand, you know, this is about connecting to our source energy, our spiritual truth. Right, let's see. There we go. It was almost at the end, but not quite. So this actually represents full moon energy, but I don't want you to pay attention to that really. I just want you to see what it says here. Look at the bigger picture. Okay, and we see that crossbow there as well, and the arrow, bow and arrow. This is, of course, about the archer, you know, shooting the arrow to the direction of, you know, what you want. And looking at the bigger picture is about having that sort of, that higher perspective on the situation as well. And that's also what our intuition can teach us. So understanding that, yes, the 3D reality that we're seeing in front of us in a situation is playing out a certain way, but our intuition is telling us something different. And maybe it's not quite matching with what's currently going on in the 3D reality. And it's having that trust within of what your intuition is telling you, okay? Looking at the bigger picture in that way and understanding that there is a higher perspective and higher purpose to everything, okay? And often, and again, I'll just remind you what I was saying about Neptune being on the outer periphery and connecting that in with our intuition, with that ethereal essence. So being aware of something before it happens. So our intuition might be telling us something about a situation we're in that moment. It could be telling us something about a situation that's not even played out yet. So if you're connected in to that source energy, and this is why, you know, Neptune rules Pisces, it's the 12th house, it's a spiritual house. So this is about having that kind of spiritual foresight of what might be going on and trusting. So your intuition might be telling you that something is going to play out in a situation. And you might have been questioning that and thinking, well, how can that be true? Because this is happening, or this is happening, and why, etc. And getting impatient because you've manifested it. Well, your intuition is telling you, you know, it's manifesting, it's happening, it's going on behind the scenes, but your 3D reality is not showing it to you in this actual moment in time. It's having the trust and faith in the intuition, not in the 3D reality that's playing out. And that can be challenging because, of course, we're living in a 3D reality, but we are souls who have incarnated here on Earth in a human vessel. Okay. This is where the past life thing comes up as well, which I'll come on to in the chart because I've been mentioning that as well recently. But this is where, you know, we've got to recognize here that we're souls, many of whom have lived many past lives before. And we're here in this lifetime on Earth, okay, in Earth school, to play out this 3D reality, to have experiences, to learn, okay? And a lot of us, okay, in the collective are discovering more and more about the kind of remembrance, if you like, of certain situations that could be past life related. And that's also been quite intense. The astrology has been saying it for a while in terms of the karmic stuff that's been coming up, the past life debris. And that's taken a lot to process as well. But I won't labour the point on that too much. I will pull up the chart and let's get into it. There is this one card looking at me that is the Queen of Swords. Okay, so with that in mind, detachment. Okay, there's sovereignty because she's a queen. Interestingly, it's feminine energy. And what was I saying before? The rise of the feminine, rising through the shadows. Okay, rising through the shadows and actually being able to cut through to the truth with that sword, to remain sovereign as a leader of one's own life, and to detach from what needs to be detached from. That's where the full moon could have come in. Okay. Anyway, let's get into the chart. Bear with me whilst I just pull it up here. Okay. There we go. Right, Neptune direct. Okay. So this is happening tomorrow on the 6th of December at 13:23 for those of us in the UK. Apply your own time zones as appropriate, as always. Now, a lot going on here that I was drawn to. First of all, let's have a look at Neptune. Okay, so Neptune is no longer in retrograde at this point. This is the moment when he stations direct, about to move forward. And you can see he is sharing the house with Saturn. Okay, now I don't want you to get caught up in the house system on here because this is just looking at the transits as an event. The house system is going to be more applicable when I pull up the UK's chart. Okay, but you can see that they're both in the same sign of Pisces. So Saturn wants us to get in line with our spiritual truth. Neptune wants us to connect more to that divinity within, that source energy within, our intuition, to be aware of the shadow aspects, okay, but to understand that we are beings of source creation and we have that essence running through us and we can tap into it. Okay, now interestingly as well, as a side note, just because this has come right into me, Neptune also rules the media. Okay, so let's just take that with a pinch of salt with certain stuff that could have been coming up. All right, during the retrograde, even before, which could have been illusionary, okay, deceptive or caused confusion. So I'm just going to leave that there because that's come in. Let's focus on us, okay? Now, there is an opposition between Neptune and the moon. The moon at this point is going to be 28 degrees of Virgo. So it's the opposite sign to Pisces, okay? So 28 degrees of Virgo. And I've said this before, but, you know, the last degrees that a planet or planetary body can be in before it moves to a different sign is 29. So at this point here, the moment that Neptune stations direct, the moon is at its final degrees of Virgo. So they can be quite harsh. When you're at the end, you know, closing out a sign before moving into another sign, it can feel quite harsh. With Virgo energy, there is that kind of aspect of feeling like we want to be in control of our feelings, because Virgo energy likes to be in control, or likes to feel in control. You know, let's not confuse it with controlling. That's a bit different. This is about feeling in control, because Virgo likes to have structure. Okay, is also of service. So we could be feeling certain things here around where we are of service to others. Okay, that's a possibility. But to me, intuitively, it feels more about we want to feel in control of our feelings. Okay, and that might be challenging at this point of Neptune station in direct, because it's that kind of clunk into gear, that activation of, right, okay, I've got to now listen to my intuition. I've got to start trusting my intuition and feeling all the things where we might have neglected that before. Okay, because self-love comes into this as well, and I'll come on to that in a bit if I remember, because I know it came up for me before as I was looking at this. Okay, because of the Venus energy. All right, so we've got that opposition, and Neptune, you'll see there's like a sort of orange line going across there to the south node in Libra. So that is a quincunx. Okay, and that can also give challenging energy. I was particularly, you know, wanting to see what was happening with Neptune, and I was drawn to that because it felt to me, again, very much connected to karma and past life situations. Of course, we're moving in the direction of the North Node. That's our purpose. That's where we're heading towards. So we're moving away from the South Node. The South Node is at the bottom, okay? And in Vedic, it's sort of known as the tail of the dragon. I think it is the dragon. You know, correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, it's the tail. So, of course, the North Node is the head. So this is about the root, the foundation. And we want to establish a fair, reciprocal, and balanced foundation, because the South Node is in Libra. So we've had to accept this karma, the karmic debris that's been coming up, the past life situations, and we've had to process it accordingly in order to then cleanse and clear and heal, and to then lay this new foundation of fairness and reciprocity and balance, okay? Because that's what we're worthy of at the end of the day. But we've had to deal with what's been coming up that maybe hasn't been fair, hasn't been balanced, hasn't been just, you know, all of that. And of course, you know, North Node being in the opposite sign of Aries, we're striving towards our sovereignty. So we needed to get those things sorted. We might still be dealing with it, and that's okay. This is reminding us about the fairness we need to establish at the root, so we can move in the direction of our sovereignty, okay? And with this quincunx and that sort of challenging energy, this could just be saying that, okay, right, maybe there's been areas that have come up where our judgment is being clouded over certain situations, and it could be past life related, could just be karmic situations. And maybe, you know, those karmic situations, to use that term, have actually shown us, or it's been illuminated to us under the full moon or within the healing journey, of where deception has taken place, where we've been confused, where there's been illusion, where we might have been in a bit of fantasy land. And it could be that sort of realization of that, because we're connecting in more with our spiritual essence of Neptune, our intuition, and we're understanding this. So it could just be a bit challenging to face that. Not only that, what it felt to me was, because Pisces is a water sign, okay, so it's very flowy, okay, very flowy, very feelsy as well. I know it's not a word, but, you know, I'm sure you get what I mean. So when I said about the moon, we want to feel in control of our feelings. Well, the Pisces flow is we feel everything. And, you know, we might be feeling the stuff that's been coming up in relation to, you know, all of this karmic stuff, past life stuff, etc. But the point I was trying to make was that Pisces is a water sign, Libra is an air sign. So it could also highlight to us where we've been up in our heads too much, overthinking. We need to get more into the feel energy. We need to get more into the flow energy of Pisces. Okay. And that's the ethereal essence of connecting in and being at one with our intuition. Okay. Not up in our head. We need to apply logic and strategy. Of course we do. But we need to feel these things first. We need to understand what our intuition is telling us. So yes, it might have highlighted to us, oh, I've been up in my head about that. That situation should have been released. I need to cleanse that karma so I can lay this foundation of fairness and balance, because reciprocity is important to me. And I feel that deeply, you know, and so on. So that's just highlighting that, okay? Now, I mentioned about this rise of the feminine and rising through the shadows. So we will look at the feminine energy, and we will also look at the masculine energy, because, as I said, we've got feminine and masculine within us, regardless of gender or how we identify. Okay, we've got the nurturing side of the feminine, the creating side, and we've got the drive and the action of the masculine within us. The perfect scenario is to be balanced in that. Okay, but certain situations tend to, you know, throw us off balance occasionally, especially when we're dealing with profound healing and transformation. And if we've always been a certain way, of perhaps, you know, our masculine drive has always been kind of, you know, leading us forward, got to get this done, got to get this done, and we've not taken time out to nurture the feminine within us that wants to create, that wants to love, that actually wants to be open to receive love. Okay, we may have been neglecting a part of ourselves, and vice versa. We may have been too focused on the nurturing side to others. Maybe, you know, not being so open to receive ourselves, but nurturing towards others and creating, confident with that. But then when it comes to taking action, fear and hesitancy. So different scenarios, different situations, different connections can cause, you know, certain moments of imbalance within the masculine and feminine energy. It's part of life, and we need to just recalibrate sometimes. Okay, we'll start off with the masculine energy. Okay, and that is to say that Mars is up here in Sagittarius. So I mentioned we're in Sagittarius season. The sun is in Sag, as is Mars, as is Ceres. And Ceres is actually divine feminine energy. Okay, but let's focus on Mars. So Mars is in a fire sign. So okay, this is powerful, because Mars wants to take action and get things going. We're in Sag season, we are in fire energy, so of course wants to get going. The soul essence is supporting that. But there is a need to maybe just take things step by step, okay, step by step through the process, because of everything that we've been going through recently within, you know, the transformation and the illumination of certain things. And also the fact that it's a quest, because it's Sagittarius. So the masculine, yes, wants to go on this journey of discovery, wants to expand, wants to get things done. And certainly the soul wants that as well, because the soul essence of the cosmos is there in Sag, supporting that expansive energy, and, you know, really wanting us to shoot that arrow in the direction of what we truly want. So everything that's been coming up before about, you know, Vesta, the sacred flame, the Venus energy. So you notice I'm bringing two feminine energies in there. What we've been looking at with those energies is, what is our sacred flame? Who is our sacred flame? What sparks that flame within? And where are we investing our resources, our time, money, attention, love, energy? Where are we investing all of those? So we've had to slow it down in order to understand that, okay, so that we can make the changes we need to, whether that is pulling back our energy from a situation, putting boundaries in place, because perhaps we're over investing and we're not getting that reciprocity. Certainly when Venus was in Libra, this was very prominent, okay? She's now in Scorpio, as you can see. But, you know, where has that reciprocity not been? So we might have had to put boundaries up. Where have we been too guarded and we've needed to let those boundaries down? So again, that's been a bit of a journey of discovery, okay? And we're still learning aspects of that as we're going through all of this, because of the change that's required. So Mars is there, yeah, wanting to get things done. And that fiery drive to go on this quest of discovery is very powerful and positive, especially with the sun there supporting it. And there is a trine, which is a positive aspect across to Chiron. So one of the beautiful things I wanted to mention about this, we've got this rise of the feminine energy that I'm going to come on to, rising through the shadows. And through doing that, this is very healing to the masculine. And as I mentioned, this is about the masculine and feminine within us. And we have that balance within us. It can get reflected back to us in our external reality. So of course, this could be resonating for you within, you know, divine feminine, divine masculine situations, connections. The feminine is becoming more empowered through the shadow work that she's been doing. And the masculine is healing his sovereignty. That to me is absolutely beautiful. So all of this deep transformation, this crawling out of the cocoon through all the gunk, through all of this stuff that we've had to clear and that we're still clearing, we're always evolving, but this recent period has been intense. So to understand that actually what's happening here is the feminine is rising up like the phoenix from the ashes, but the feminine is rising up through the shadow work that she's been doing. And that's self-love as well, by the way. But through that has empowered the masculine to heal his sovereignty, and vice versa. The masculine heals his sovereignty, inspires the feminine to nurture herself more, okay? And understand where she's investing her time, energy, resources, etc. Putting the attention back on herself. So do you see how this might be playing out in your reality? Okay. But that's beautiful. The masculine and the healing journey here. Okay. It's healing the masculine. And there is a quest of discovery. So this is something we are discovering in this period of time. Okay. Sag season. Of course, we're going to be moving into Capricorn season towards the end of December. It's the 22nd, I believe. So, you know, that's kind of Saturn's area, really. But certainly for the moment, we are learning and we are discovering, and that full moon could have illuminated a lot that's triggered and activated this for the masculine and the feminine. Okay, but it's beautiful. Regardless of the challenges, this is what I mean when I say it's all for our highest good, because of what's happening here. Okay. And through the feminine rising up, she's allowing the masculine to rise up as well within his sovereignty. Okay. Now, let's look at the feminine energy. So there's a lot to be said for this. All right. Obviously, I've mentioned about the masculine energy, and I've not focused on the other aspects that have been going on with Mars, because again, I'm an intuitive reader and I'll be drawn and guided to the certain aspects to look at for these reports. Okay. And all of this is not without its challenges, as I've said, because of what we've been going through on our healing journey. But the feminine energy, wow. Okay, we've got Venus in Scorpio that I mentioned, and Venus is there with Pallas. So Pallas Athena, asteroid. Okay. Could be attributed to goddess Aphrodite energy. Okay. But to me, this sort of speaks of self-love. So this is where I wanted to bring it up. It's kind of love and beauty, but to me, it felt like self-love here. They're both in Scorpio. So let's not forget that's that scorpionic energy. Yes, it's water energy, but it's deep. So Venus has come from Libra, obviously wanting to establish reciprocity in her investments. And I say investments, it's resources, time, energy, money, attention, love. Okay. All valuable to us. wanting to establish fairness. So yes, maybe we've had to put boundaries in place or let some guards down, etc. And that could be part of what's going on with us empowering the masculine, because we've let some guards down or we've put boundaries up, allowing us as feminines to rise up as well. Okay. But there, two feminine energies together in Scorpio. So this is deep when it comes to self-love. This is deep when it comes to our investments, a continuation of resources. And, you know, Venus rules love as well. So this is about love, definitely. And opposite Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter is in Taurus in retrograde. Okay, so we've only got now Jupiter and Uranus as planets in retrograde. Okay, we've got Chiron, that's an asteroid, and we've got Lilith, that's an asteroid. But the two planets, Jupiter and Uranus, are still in retrograde in the sign of Taurus, which is worth and values and resources. So there is an opposition here because there's a need to still go deep and to feel, because it's Scorpio is a water sign. So to go deep when it comes to how we feel about where we're investing in areas, people, situations, etc., that are challenging our worth and values. Now, yes, it's opposition energy, but that can work for us as well. Because by us understanding those investments and where it could be challenging our worth and values, it's enabling the inner expansion and the inner growth that Jupiter retrograde is obviously providing us with. It's the expansive energy of Jupiter, but happening on the inside because it's a retrograde. So we've got that inner expansion going on because we're learning more. Remember, we're in Sag season. We're learning more about this, about our investments. And we could be learning about where we've maybe neglected ourselves. This is where the self-love comes in. Okay, so have we been investing in areas and people that have not been reciprocal? Okay, we've become aware of that in the season where Venus was in Libra. And we're trying to establish a fair foundation. Okay, so we're understanding what we need to change and transform. We're going through this. We're empowering ourselves through all of this. But the full moon and certainly just generally this activation of our intuition and listening to it could be telling us that we might have neglected ourselves in this process. So where we've been looking at where we're investing our resources, have we even been considering ourselves in that process? Because it's easier to look outside of ourselves and actually say, okay, I've been, you know, my time has been going into that situation, my time, my energy, my attention has been going to that person or to that job or to that situation. Have we ever stopped to think, okay, where have I been investing in myself here? And that's not to say that, you know, those aspects, those situations, that the people that we are investing in and we're getting that reciprocity, of course, that is also an investment in ourselves because we're getting the reciprocity. But this could have been highlighting where we haven't been getting that and where we've been neglecting the self-love aspects. So that's where it's giving us that inner expansion. So I see it as a positive. It might feel challenging, but actually it's allowing us to grow more inside in terms of our worth and values because we're understanding that more. We're understanding our worth more because we're needing to love ourselves more and to invest in ourselves more. And what's really interesting is that Lilith is in the mix here again. And Lilith was around, well, I've mentioned Lilith before many times, but certainly with the recent full moon because of the shadow aspects that was going on. The full moon, Lilith, Neptune, all of that stuff, you know, that's where it was highlighting where we might have deceived ourselves because perhaps we were talking ourselves out of situations because we didn't feel good enough. So all of this has been highlighted to us and we're understanding more about it. Now, there is a sextile from Venus down to Lilith, and there is a sextile also from Vesta to Lilith. So Vesta is feminine energy, Lilith is feminine energy, and of course we know Venus is. So this is like the power three here. I know we've got Pallas, we've also got Juno there in Virgo, but when I look at this sextile, because Lilith is in the middle of this, okay, and that's the shadow feminine. So this is where the words that Spirit gave me, you know, rise of the feminine, rising through the shadows. The shadow work that we've had to go through, okay, generally all of us, masculines and feminines, has been coming from the shadow feminine side of perhaps areas of doubt, fear, anxieties, of where we've not felt good enough to create, where we've not felt good enough to manifest, where we've not felt able and capable to do these things, playing on the feminine wounds, you know, so those aspects attributed to the feminine essence, the creator, you know, the manifester, the nurturer, being open to receive love, the doubts and fears and anxieties that might have been coming up to do with that. And Lilith being in Virgo, self-critical. Have we been self-critical? Looking at the other side of Lilith with the kind of deep desires, you know, that may be going on. So have any of those been coming up to the surface? Remember, you know, with Neptune being in retrograde, perhaps some kind of fantasy type stuff has been coming up where it's caused a bit of a cloud of illusion or confusion, okay? That's not going to resonate for all, but remember what I was saying about the media, and I'll leave that there. But, you know, Vesta, sacred flame energy, goddess Bridget energy. And then we've got, you know, Lilith, the shadow aspects. So sacred flame is about creating from that sacred flame. What sparks that flame, and it's the sacral energy, right, let's create based on what that sacred flame is, who that sacred flame is. The sextile with Lilith shows that the shadow work is obviously going hand in hand with that, because we've been doing the shadow work. We can understand where we've maybe been self-critical. Okay. What anxieties, doubts, and fears might have been stopping us previously. So the recognition of that is a massive transformation, because we may have just been stopping ourselves and not realizing why, not realizing the deep-rooted fears that have been going on within. So Lilith has been showing us that. So Lilith is a great teacher in that respect. And similarly with Venus, you know, the self-critical aspects that might have been showing us about our investments, and perhaps, hang on a minute, are you good enough to do that? Are you good enough to invest your time and effort in that? And understanding, yes, I am. Perhaps having those kind of deep desires to do something, to feel in control of doing something, again, with that Virgo energy. And the Venus energy needing to show oneself that love in order to execute it, in order to actually do what we want to do, to create what we want to create. Okay, and that ties back to the sacred flame. So that's why, you know, they're not in a triangle together, but it kind of feels like they are in a weird way, because, you know, it's that power 3 that's going on with Lilith there at the point. So it's, yeah, it's extremely powerful. And there is, I mean, actually saying that, because I could see this triangle in my third eye, and again, I'm a Pisces, you know, just go with it. So I get these things all the time, and I can see this triangle. Now there is a kind of triangle here, isn't there? Because when we look at the purple lines of the sextile, and then we've got, you know, Venus and Pallas there, and there's a trine going down to Vesta, so it does link them all together in a triangle. So there we go. There you go. That's that Neptunian energy right there. But the feminine energy is very much interlinked here. And so all of the traits of the asteroids, or the, you know, the planet where Venus is concerned, connected to love, connected to beauty, connected to our desires, connected to the sacred flame energy, whilst also acknowledging the fears, doubts, and anxieties that have been coming up for us to pay attention to, are all working together to support this rising of the feminine. And by doing that, it's enabling the feminine essence within to be confident, to feel confident about creating, about manifesting the reality that we want. And then that's empowering the masculine to heal their sovereignty, which in turn is going to allow them to rise up more, to take the necessary action. So there you go, job done. You see there, you've got the balance of the feminine and masculine, both empowering one another through this process. And this has all been as a result of the shadow work, of paying attention to the fears, the deep-rooted anxieties and worries that we may have had over certain stuff, wanting to get things right, wanting to feel in control of things, and to, you know, have our guards up and recognize, okay, maybe I've been too critical on myself with this. Maybe I've deceived myself out of a blessing, out of a fantastic opportunity, and now I'm aware of it. I need to then make the change. Okay. And we know Uranus is in Taurus, which is also relating to worth and values. So we're understanding more about our worth and values. I said about Jupiter, the inner expansion. Yeah, as we acknowledge our worth more and we recognize we are worthy of great things. Uranus then allows us to, you know, I say allows us, supports us really with the change that we can then make. And as our worth and values change, other things may need to change. Okay, so that we're then in alignment. And remember, Saturn, let's get in alignment with our spiritual truth, Saturn in Pisces. Let's make sure we've learned those lessons that maybe we haven't learned whilst he was in Aquarius. Yeah, because it's like, have you learned those lessons? This is when, I've said this before, he entered Pisces 7th of March of this year, and almost like coming into the interrogation room, right, I'm in Pisces now. Have you learned your lessons from the past 3 years whilst I was in Aquarius? If you haven't, don't worry, we're going to go round again. You're going to go through the same situations, okay? And let's see if you can learn the lessons this time. So this is why it's been intense. And you'll notice there is a pink line here because there is an opposition between Saturn and Lilith. So, you know, this is why it's felt heavy to have gone through this shadow work, because we've had to acknowledge what's been blocking us from learning those lessons. And that's where the self-criticism can come in as well, you know, because it's like that realization of that was staring me in the face all along. I didn't learn that lesson. My intuition was telling me, but maybe I was blocking my intuition, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning. Perhaps I wasn't listening to my intuition. And now, whoosh, this illumination of where I could have actually made a change earlier, you know, it's allowing us to see all of this, to understand it all. But remember that if there's been any lessons we've had to repeat during this time of this profound healing, it could have felt more intense, because the more we have to go around and learn them, the more intense it feels, okay? Because Saturn is definitely wanting to get things in order, okay? He doesn't mess around, nor does Pluto. Deep transformation, okay? Tower moments, left, right, center. So this has been big stuff, because, you know, we're being asked to get in alignment with our spiritual truth. And if, you know, those of you in the collective have not been in touch with your spiritual truth, this has been showing you, okay? So it's perhaps been challenging. It's challenging through, you know, spiritual ascension anyway. Your perception of things changes with situations, because it's like this awakening to certain stuff, okay? And it's like, whoa. And then you get the clarity. Then you can take the wisdom from it. Okay, so it's all empowering. It's all empowering. And this is what we're moving towards, folks, okay? But this ethereal essence within, we need to be listening to it. We need to be listening to it and trusting it, okay? And not just basing it on the 3D reality, because things could be playing out. We need to respond to our 3D reality, don't get me wrong, because this is the experience we're having here on Earth, okay? So we need to respond to these situations, but we ultimately need to be guided by our intuition, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, right, what I'll do, I will stop sharing that one. I'm going to just quickly pull up the UK's chart, if you're still with me on this one. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. You see there's loads of stuff that I've just drawn over here. But again, you know, to give context of the house system. So this is the UK's natal chart. So it could pertain to members of the collective of the UK. And I was drawn to this before because whilst Neptune has been in retrograde, you know, he's been 24 degrees of Pisces here and right on top of the UK's Mercury. So certainly with that full moon and the alignment that was coming up as well with Lilith, there was that real sense of the shadow energy. And that's still there because we've still got the opposition with Lilith, okay, and what's going on in the UK's natal chart. But now Neptune, you know, at this point, stationing direct, moving forward, the degrees are going to change. Okay, so it might feel less intensive, but remember, ninth house discovery. Okay, so again, could relate to the media because we've got Neptune on top of Mercury, so communication through the media, things might start to change now because Neptune's going to move forward. All right, so any deceptive communication, you know, that might be coming to an end, you never know. But within our own lives, okay, this could be just saying, right, now we're moving forward, we've understood those lessons about where there have been deceptive communication as one example, and that could even be us talking to ourselves in a deceptive way, like telling ourselves we're not worthy of something, which is ridiculous. Okay, and then opposite, we have got the UK's Lilith. And what I was drawn to with these blue lines, fascinating, because the moon, you know, remember I said the moon is going to be 28 degrees Virgo. Well, the moon will be conjunct, not exactly, but will form a conjunction with the UK's Lilith. But also Lilith will be forming a conjunction with the UK's natal moon. So there is mirroring energy here, okay? And this mirroring energy could pertain to our worth and values, second house, and our expression and communication, third house, okay? So this is about shadow aspects, feeling this, okay, when it comes to worth and values and our expression. So that might just be highlighted at that point, that realization of, okay, but remember what I was saying about, you know, the feminine energy, the rising of the feminine energy, because through all of that shadow work and that acknowledgement of what's been coming up as part of the shadow work that we've been dealing with, we've got here on the subconscious level, 12th house Vesta, okay, who's actually conjunct the UK's natal north node. So, you know, in terms of sacred flame and our purpose that might have been hidden, might have been subconscious for us, this is about now understanding where that shadow work has been paying off in that respect from a spiritual aspect, okay, of that sacred flame. And our foundations could also relate to family, fourth house as well, you know, in terms of that love energy, where we might have had to do some shadow work within our foundations or within our family lives, okay? We have got that Quincunx Neptune with the south node, okay, so the ninth and the fourth house. So again, foundation versus what we're learning, and vice versa. We're discovering this. We're discovering where those aspects might have kind of contributed to, you know, the past life and karmic debris that's been coming up where we might not have trusted our intuition, or, you know, what might have actually caused us a bit of illusion or confusion because we've had to process these things as they've been coming up and understanding that, okay, that's a pattern from a past life actually. And now I understand why certain things have been playing out in this lifetime, for instance. Okay, that's just an example. I won't go into all of the trines, but you know, when we look at Mars, what I was saying, you know, with Mars and the trine across to Chiron, of course, Mars is here with the sun in the fifth house of love. So that is the house of love. Cue the E17 song for any of you 90s pop fans. And the trine is going to the 10th house of inner authority. And that is where Chiron is. And Chiron is actually conjunct the UK's natal sun. So it's very much within the soul essence of the masculine here, the healing of the sovereignty that's been going on. And with the feminine, so obviously I've mentioned Venus is in the fourth house of foundations, okay? And then we've got, you know, the second house in the mix with Lilith, worth and values, the shadow work that's been going on there. And also what might have been hidden from us in terms of sacred flame energy, but also that which we know inherently within to be true once we trust our intuition, 12th house, once we understand, because that's Neptune, you know, Neptunian house of Pisces. So we need to understand what or who is that sacred flame, because then we can create from that point, and that is that feminine essence that's rising up. Okay, the inner expansion of Jupiter is also happening within our inner authority, our social status, could even be our work life as well, because that's 10th house also. Okay, so I think that's all I need to say, really. Oh, the other thing I did draw an extra line here, and this is really because they're in opposite houses. They're not in opposite signs, and this is where astrology is unique. Okay, I've said it many times before. You might get one house with 2 signs in it, 3 signs in it. It's not just a kind of one house per sign. And anybody who has that chart, I really want to meet them because that would be absolutely unique. But here, the UK's Mars is actually opposite Pluto. So this is where that deep transformation has been going on, okay, within the masculine essence. Empowered by the feminine and the shadow work, okay. And this, as I mentioned, this can relate to anybody, regardless of gender. It's the empowerment of the feminine essence within that's then empowering the masculine energy within, okay, in terms of sovereignty. But also looking outside of ourselves, if there are situations and connections that are relevant to you, that are divine feminine, divine masculine, they're playing out in that way. Then, of course, the feminine going through the shadow work, okay, is actually healing and inspiring and empowering the masculine to also rise up in terms of his sovereignty so that he can take the necessary action forward. Okay, right, I think that's all I wanted to say. I'll leave it there. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I was going to say Saturn's in the 8th house, empowerment. Yeah, spiritual truth, empowerment. But we are learning, okay, Neptune's in the 9th house, Sag season, which is basically about learning and discovery and expansion. So it's all over this reading, really, that expansion that comes from the healing work that we've been doing, which has felt intense. But of course, when you see that and you understand what's going on, you know, with that rising up of the feminine energy and the empowerment of the masculine energy, it's beautiful to understand that, okay, to acknowledge the challenges, because we need to, that's life. But the positive association to that is profound, and it has been a profound time of transformation. Okay, so right now I'm going to pull some cards for some extra messages, okay, for those that it resonates for. And first of all, I've got my astro deck, okay, and I did find the Neptune card. I don't know if I showed this at the beginning, actually. I don't think I did. But this is all about vision. Okay, it is that vision. It's that peripheral vision, if you like. It's being aware of certain things via the intuition. Okay, very powerful. Very powerful. And we need to understand that, you know, we're worthy. We're absolutely worthy of connecting with our intuition. That is our source energy within. Okay. But we might not have been listening to it. And certainly, as I'm drawn back again to that, certainly where there's been aspects of, you know, knowing that we need to detach from something or someone, that can be quite hard, quite challenging to accept. You know, it's easier sometimes to kind of ignore the intuition, isn't it? Because of the 3D circumstances that are kind of playing out. But at this time, it's very, very important to make time for meditation if that resonates for you. Of course, if it doesn't resonate for you, then, you know, don't do it. But if it does, you know, that's just going to connect you in further with source energy, and being present as well. It's a bit of mindfulness at the same time, but being present in the moment, connecting in, receiving any messages that you need to receive via your intuition, which is coming to you via source energy. Okay. Right, let's see if we've got anything additional from Star Codes Astro. That's too many. The energy felt frantic then. That could be actually from the activation. There could be this kind of frantic feeling of almost awakening to the intuition and what the intuition has been telling us and is telling us. Yeah, so that could be causing further kind of, you know, tower moments, if you like. Let's have a look. Right, it's that one. Okay. Neptune direct. Wow. Okay. So we've got midheaven, okay, and we've got 12th house introspection. That's what I smiled at. And on the bottom, we've actually got progressions, which is journey. And it is a journey. But certainly with this one, you know, this is all about that introspection of the 12th house, the spiritual house, connecting in with that source energy. And it just reminds me also of the chakra system. So just be mindful of your chakras at this time as well. Your intuition might be guiding you towards some work that might be needed if you've got a blocked chakra, for example. So that just comes to mind for me with that one. But you know, we are worthy of that success that we're striving towards. It could be career based, but certainly on our quest of discovery and the empowerment of us moving towards our purpose. Okay, there is that connection between, you know, what our intuition is telling us about that, because our higher self and source, you know, the divine, wants us to move in the direction of that success, of that purpose, and you know, we can introspect and receive the wisdom that we need to, and the guidance, okay, if we're connected in to our intuition in that way. Okay, let's have a look and see. Guided to use the Gilded Tower Royale, which I call my sovereign deck. So maybe that's why. Okay, do we have any additional messages, please? Neptune direct. Additional messages, please. Thank you. Yeah. Do you know, I was actually going to say to you, on the front of the box, there we have the strength card. And what do you think's come out? But it's come out in reverse. Okay, so we are needing the strength. That's Leo energy as well. Right. We've got the King of Cups in reverse as well. That's water energy. Settle the energy, please. Okay. Strength and King of Cups, thank you. Oh, right. Okay. That's why I had to just ask for the energy to be settled. Okay, that's clear now. All right, so we've got the Strength card that I showed you in reverse, and we've got the King of Cups in reverse, water sign. Doesn't have to be, but could just embody that energy. And then we've got old Seven of Swordsy there. Okay. On the bottom, we've got the Moon in reverse. So the full moon that we had not long ago may have illuminated this deception. Okay. And it could relate to somebody who wasn't in touch with their emotions, wasn't comfortable in their emotions, okay, because the King of Cups is, but he's in reverse here. So it might be that somebody was keeping something from you, because that's also the energy of the Seven of Swords, and we have got the Moon in reverse. So yes, there could be something hidden about a King of Cups type energy, okay? And it might be that they're lacking strength at the moment because we've got strength in reverse, okay? So there's a couple of messages here. There's a couple of messages here, and what it feels to me is that there's been an illumination of where this deceptive energy might have been, okay? And it could have even been from ourselves, but there's been some illumination of where deception has taken place, or where something has been hidden from you, okay, regarding a person, okay, because the Moon in reverse and we have the Moon. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to take a clarifier from the Unfolding Path tarot. Let's see what this pertains to, please. Strength in reverse, King of Cups in reverse, and Seven of Swords. Is this about deceptive individuals? Is this about self-deception? We have got the moon in reverse again, but I'm not going to take that because it doesn't come out in a divine fashion. Okay, let's see. Thank you. We have got 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so that is 9 of Pentacles is about sort of independent success. Oh, 7 of Cups in reverse. Right, confusion. Coming out of the confusion. Right, karmic situation could have been involving somebody. Okay, because you've got the Lovers on the bottom. It could also represent a choice though. Okay, but ultimately with the Wheel of Fortune, this has been something that's been destined and fated to happen. Okay, and it looks like it's an ending. All right, it's an ending to something that you no longer want to put work and effort into, because we've got the 8 of Pentacles in reverse and we've got the 10 of Swords in reverse. Okay, so something is needed to end here. Don't want to apply any more effort into it. It's led to some confusion, but there is a sense of coming out of that. Okay, there's this recognition of needing to be sort of, you know, independent as well, perhaps feeling like not being able to. So there could have been self-deception, you know, in terms of that. Or it might be that you've been dealing with somebody that you've needed to actually, you know, put an ending to some kind of cycle, and it's been destined to do that because the Wheel of Fortune wants to turn in your favor. Okay, and that in turn is allowing you to come out of that feeling of confusion, which again, you know, with Neptune coming direct, could certainly enable that to happen for you. The clearing of the fog, if you like, the clearing of the fog and detaching from that which you need to, certainly. Okay, let's get one from the Wisdom of the Oracle. Further message for the collective, please. Thank you. Okay, so we've got chaos and conflict in reverse. So yeah, there's been like an avoidance of chaos and conflict, and that could even be inner chaos and conflict. Again, listening to the intuition, knowing that change is needed, might have brought up some chaos and conflict, and that could have been around what you've wanted to manifest. We've got a master number there, 33. Okay, so that could be relevant for you. You might have wanted to create something, but there's been some chaos and conflict around it. It's led to fears. It's led to that self-deceptive behavior. Perhaps because of a situation you've been attached to that you need to detach from, you know, that has actually been making you feel like you're not worthy of the manifestations that you want. For instance, hidden energy is actually poised, and this makes me think of the Fool type energy. It's like poised and ready to take a leap of faith. Okay, but that's in the hidden energy. So that's something that's going on that, you know, might be coming up soon, or you might know within, actually, yes, I do want to take a leap of faith, but there's been a bit of chaos and conflict I've had to deal with internally or otherwise before I can get to that point, that sort of thing. Yeah. Now I have got the Queen of the Moon Oracle, although this is not a full moon or a new moon reading, but because the moon, as I showed you, can be a sign of sort of hidden aspects. And Neptune going direct, let's see if there's any additional messages from the Queen of the Moon. Wow. Need I say any more? Self-love, darkness. Wow. What was I saying in the astrology about the rise of the feminine, about self-love, okay, and the shadow work? Amazing synchronicities there. Okay. Wow. Surrender. Yeah, that's all about faith and trust. Okay, to restore balance, because balance was on the bottom in reverse. So yeah, surrender, and that's card 26. 2 and 6 is 8, Saturn's number. Surrendering to the faith, and that's the divine, but also the faith within yourself to manifest that which you truly desire. Surrendering to that connection to source energy within your intuition. Okay, and understanding there is that bigger picture. There is that more ethereal vision that you can have. Okay, not to get floaty and living in fantasy land all the time. A bit of that is great, because that's like me, Pisces, you know. And we need to be dreamers in that respect, especially if we're creatives, you know, especially creatives and artists thrive on that dreamy kind of, you know, imagination. But this is about surrendering to the truth from your intuition. Okay, and applying it to your kind of real life 3D circumstances. Okay, but driven from the intuition. Okay, now I've got this lovely new deck that I actually got from Glastonbury, the Isle of Avalon, and it is the beautiful Goddess Spirit Oracle deck, and it's amazing. Okay, very interesting because of the feminine rising up that I've mentioned in the astrology. So this is obviously Goddess Spirit. It's Goddess, not God Spirit, so it's Goddess. So let's see if we've got anything from the Goddess Spirit deck in relation to Neptune going direct. Any messages for the collective, please, Goddess Spirit? Let's see who we might have coming through for the collective. What do you need to know? Those two, yeah, okay, fair enough. We've got that number 33 again, folks. I can't even pronounce that. Is it sign? It's confusing me because it's got a Y in the middle. But 33, I mean, come on. You know, we've just seen that. It's a master number. Loyalty, support, and devotion. Okay. And that also with the snake, you know, the serpent type vibes. But I'm not getting a negative connotation from that. For me, that's representing about snakes shedding their skin, you know, when they're transforming through their growth. And although, you know, the keywords don't mention transformation, that's what I'm feeling intuitively. And this feels to be around the heart chakra because of the green. Now, look, we've also got some green here, and this is healer energy, but this represents the heart chakra. So this is very much about healing the heart space, the self-love, okay, that's attributed to that. Potential loving connections as well. But loyalty, support, and devotion are the keywords on that one. Okay, so devotion to oneself in terms of this journey, devotion to oneself in terms of intuition, connecting in 100%. But the reason why I did a cheeky little chuckle is because on the bottom we've got Hecate. Okay, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, you'll see on that it says crossroads, the mystic, discovery. There is triple goddess energy here. So in the astrology, I mentioned about the triangle of the feminine energy. Another synchronicity, okay? Number 37, 3 and 7 is 10. 10 is about cycles closing out, and I'm also drawn to this. 10 reduces to a 1. 1 is all about the self. So this is discovering about the self, discovering where you might have been at a crossroads because of certain situations that we've spoken about already. And the mystic, this is the Neptunian energy. But not only that, I'm going to give you a further sign of Hecate. That is her key. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that. So there we are. There we are. Okay. The key here is all about connecting into the mystic type energy, that source energy that I've mentioned at the beginning and through the astrology report, the Neptunian ethereal essence of the mystic. Okay. Embodying the triple goddess energy as well. Also mastering light and shadow, the balance. but what we're discovering and being loyal to oneself in the heart chakra in order to do that. Extremely powerful. This is the rise of the feminine through the shadow work. Okay, this is all over this reading. So thank you, Spirit, for giving me that, because that was, you know, for me to relate to you in this report. Take it how it resonates, of course. Okay, if you've not been going through any transformation or healing, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, this isn't for you. But if you're, of course, interested in the astrological transits and the energy of the moment, because of everything that's been going on, you know, this is saying that the shadow work that has been happening is actually paying off. You might not see it in the 3D reality at this moment in time, but by connecting in with your intuition, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel more transformed and evolved. Okay. And yes, we might feel battle scarred and all of that because of everything we've had to face. It's been a lot. It's been a time. Absolutely. 100%. But this is saying that by showing ourselves, you know, that self-love and that devotion to ourselves of this journey, and that we are remaining on track towards our sovereignty, and we're clearing out what we need to, we're detaching from what we need to, we're understanding more about ourselves. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. We want to feel in control of our feelings, and maybe we don't feel in control of what's going on because it's all like, whoa, tower moment, change, all of this. It's been intense, but each time we're leveling up, we're ascending, we're evolving, and we're becoming stronger, more wiser. Our intuition is becoming more open and clear. It's more of a clear channel to us. Okay, so moving forward, and notwithstanding that, to go back to what I said at the beginning, look at the bigger picture. Okay, understand that the reality plays out in the time that the reality plays out, but there's divine timing. Okay, time is a construct anyway, but you know, we have to kind of respond to the 3D reality in which we're living and experiencing this journey of life. But this is where the intuition is so important to understand, you know, and we're navigating through on our path, and we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be patient with the situation and understand that things are progressing, because I've just shown you in the astrology that the feminine is rising up through this shadow work and through this devotion to self, discovery, all of that, the self-love, understanding, pulling back on investments that are not reciprocal, turning it back to the self, shadow work, rising up, empowering the masculine to heal the sovereignty, and then it's go time. Yeah? I'll leave it there. Sending you love and blessings. I'm wishing you all the best. Okay, when Neptune kind of clunks into gear and starts to move forward, let's connect in with our intuition. Let's understand what our intuition is telling us. Okay, understand it is divine source energy. Connect into the light source energy for the highest good. Okay, and be open to receive the wisdom that comes through from the light. Okay. Right, I'll leave it there. I'm sending you love and blessings. Take care of you until the next time. I'm sending you all the best from Goddess of Neptune herself. Take care, everyone. Bye.